y'all because I've got to film this one. I didn't film first period. Here we go. That's the dilemma about filming late in the day when this thing's battery starts running dead. Sometimes it acts crazy. I took it off.
That was pretty good.
All right.
All right.
Hey, what do you want to
All right, we're rolling right now, maybe. Hey, you're talking, you're behind. Already got notes. Alright, yesterday we had some good Algebra 1 stuff. Today we got more of the same slope, some good old Algebra 1 stuff. 3 different ways that I know to talk about slope, all written for you there. Slope is rise over run. Slope is the change in our y's compared to the change in our x's. Slope formulas y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? Sometimes it'll be called the rate of change. If something ever says find the rate of change, they're wanting the slope. So you hear all those different things. Okay? Most of the stuff we're going to look at today is just different ways to find slope and when is it better to do which method and all that kind of stuff. Alright? So this first thing I got for you here says find the slope of a line that goes through the points -6, 9, and 3, -5. We want the slope of the line that goes through those points. Okay? So, do I want to graph them and count rise over run? I could. That would mean I have to take time to graph them though. So since they gave them to me as an ordered pair, I'm just going to go ahead and use the formula like Mason's saying. So that's how I decide. I do however they gave it to me. If I got a graph, heck, rise over run, no problem. If I got points, plug them in the equation. If I have an equation, that's when we're going to see in a second. That's when it gets a little iffy on what we want to do. Okay, I'm going to label these with you to make sure first period we struggled labeling them. It doesn't matter which ones are the ones, the top or the bottom, but they got to be the same. This can't be an x1 with a y2. Does that make sense? It's got to be 1s and 1s and 2s and 2s. Okay, so we're just going to plug those into our slope equation. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I was already thinking of an answer instead of a 6. Okay, -5 minus 9 on our numerator. What's -5 minus 9? -14. On my denominator, 3 minus -6.
What's that?
-6. It's a -6. +9. Good. All right, so that is my slope. Okay. Now, what if somebody wrote their slope like that? Is that the same? Yeah, Chase is correct. It is. What if somebody wrote the slope like that? Is that the same?
No.
Yes. Good. Because these are division problems. A fraction means divide, right? So if you've got a negative slope, that means it's got to be a positive divided by negative, right? It doesn't matter where it is, as long as one of them is a negative. So here, if I were to put this on a graph and start counting rise over run, I would go down 14 and right 9. This one, I would go up 14 and left 9. But I would still be on the same line, because remember, a line extends forever. Okay? Everybody good? Probably on a test, it just sticks it out in the middle, then you get to pick. When do you want to go negative and when do you want to go positive? It wouldn't matter. Okay? Everybody good in the hood? All right. I think Caleb is mocking me. Sure.
Oh, that's from no. Yes.
Yes.
All right, 3x. Hey, focus. 3x minus 4y is equal to 12. Directions say find the slope. What form is that line written in?
Standard.
Standard is correctamundo. Kaylee, good job. That is ax plus by equals c. You also know point slope form from Algebra 1 and slope intercept form from Algebra 1. So the reason I say that is because that's one option. I could rewrite this in the slope-intercept form. Solve it for y, write it y equals mx plus b, and that would tell me the slope. That's one option. I'm going to do that a little later. I'm not going to do it here. Here, I'm going to use what we learned yesterday. I can get some points out of that real quick by finding the intercepts by plugging zeros in. Zane's got that. This one's an easy one to plug zeros in. Reason I know that is because 3 and 4 are factors of 12, so they're all going to come out whole numbers. Whenever I don't plug zeros in is when I got something over here that's like 17, something that's not going to come out of whole numbers. That makes sense? All right, let's plug a 0 in for our y. Just take that y out. That gives you 3x is 12, which means x is 4. So we have a point at 4, 0. Let's plug a 0 in for our x. Just take that x out. That gives you negative 4y is equal to 12, which means y is negative 3. Now be careful how you write that. We put spit it out. We put a 0 in for the x, right? So that would be how those ordered pair would look. Whoa, Grace, what's the matter, sweetie?
No.
You just did it. You tell me nothing.
No. Well, I wrote it, how yesterday where you said you don't even have to put the zeros in?
Yeah. So you wrote 4, negative 3?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, it would be 12 of an apple, yes. Alright, and that's what Keston did on her exit question yesterday too. Keston Grace did the same thing that you did. She wrote this as 4, negative 3. But the problem on that, remember on your exit question, problem on that is that would only give you one ordered pair. You need 2 to use your slope formula. So make sure you put those zeros in there now.
Well,
Good.
I didn't answer. I just didn't know how to write it.
I know. We just work on it. Alright, we got an X1 and a Y1 now. We ready to roll here? I'm going to name these my 1s. I'm naming those my 2s. Subtract my y's, negative 3 minus 0. Subtract my x's, 0 minus 4. Negative 3 minus 0 is, 0 minus 4 is, what's a negative by negative?
Positive.
Shazam.
What letter is that?
M. And why is M the symbol for slope? I have no earthly idea.
So you can't use any letter you want to?
No, M means slope.
That doesn't make any sense.
Zane's Googling it. We will have an official answer from Google momentarily.
Not necessarily.
You mean everything on the internet's not true? What are you talking about?
Found a calculator.
Definitely
That's my
false.
lucky day.
Look at you.
It says there is, it is not known why the letter M was chosen for slope.
Google has ruled. It is not known why the letter
They
M
have a
was chosen for
suggestion,
slope. But they have a suggestion. Go ahead.
M could stand for modulus of slope.
But why wouldn't they put it
That's
S?
stupid.
What is modulus of slope?
John Conway said that.
Oh, I haven't like you.
Well, no one knows what John Conway said.
Realize
Who's John Conway? Exactly.
Apparently,
Who even are you?
Oh, we gotta focus. Grace is singing. Scary times. Scary times.
That's not nice.
Hey, Hayden, stop. Alright, we talked about these 2 special scenarios yesterday. We're fixing to knock it out again right now. Would you please stop? Thank you. On the one on the left, y plus 3 is 0. There is a variable missing in action. Which variable is missing? X, which means this line is
it's going to be horizontal.
horizontal. Very good. Not sure how that relates, but good, Grace. Horizontal is right. So, to make my horizontal line, what do I need to do to this?
Subtract
Zane's got it, Kayla's got it. We're solving it for y, so y would be negative 3. So I'm going to go down to 3, put my horizontal line through that. Put my arrows on there, so whoever yelled at me yesterday has got my arrows. Now,
Yellow, I just told you.
couldn't remember who that was, so now I remember. It was Keston. Alright, I know you didn't yell. My whole point in this, though, the question asks for the slope, and all I've done is draw in the picture. So we got to make a relationship to slope. But here's why I wanted to draw the picture. I want to pick my 2 favorite points on this line. There's my best one. This one's my second best one. And I want to count rise over run. Okay, I know this seems like baby stuff, but this will make some sense to you. If I go from this point on the left, my favorite one, to my second favorite one, how much do I go up or down to get to it?
0.
0. So I got 0 over. How many do I run? Let's just do some makeup counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 sounds good, Mason. What's 0 divided by 5? 0. Slope is always 0 on a horizontal line, and that's why there's no rise. Okay? Does that make sense?
Slope
So wait, you put
all
0 equals M?
Uh-huh.
horizontal.
Uh-huh. For a horizontal line, slope is always 0. All right. So now let's check this vertical. Oh, I didn't mean to tell you the answer. Let's check this other line out. X equals -6. So I'm going to go over to -6, and since I already reminded you, I'll be a vertical line through -6. Right? Okay, I got my favorite points down here. My second favorite one's up here. Rise over run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boy Mason. Run. How many did I move left or right? 0. What's 6 divided by 0?
Undefined.
Undefined. You can't have a 0 on bottom. No zeros in the denominator. Undefined. So my slope on this, I can write it a couple of different ways. I can say the slope is undefined. Undefined. I think that's
Isn't
the
there a
right.
symbol for that?
Not that I know of. Or
the 0 with
no, that's no solution. That's something different.
the.
Or I could just write it out that, hey, dummy, there's no slope. Either one of those will work for me.
No slope.
Okay?
Is that always going to be the
On every vertical line, yes ma'am. Every vertical line. So if you think about that, if I had, since I got the number 6 and 0 up there, let's say I had 6 pizzas. Make everybody hungry this afternoon. I had 6 pizzas, and I want to divide them into 0 pizzas. That's impossible to do without eating them all, right? You can't take 6 of something and divide it into, make it go away. Okay, so that's why you can't divide by 0. Alright, we alright?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, so back to a problem that we did a second ago. I got what you need here?
Yes.
I feel like we go faster in here than we do in first period. I don't know why. Maybe there's less people. First period's full.
Oh, that's smart.
No, I mean, no, they're not. Alright, I got an equation again. This one says 3x plus 4y is equal to 9, and it asks for the slope. On the last one, it had 3x plus 4y was equal to 12, and I pointed out to you that this stuff over here, they were both factors of this. That's not the case now. 4 is not a factor of 9. So does that mean I can't plug zeros in? No, I could still plug zeros in if I wanted to. I'm just going to have the fractions or decimals to work with in the slope formula. Not that in the world, we're big kids, we can work with fractions or decimals. But my personal preference is when it's going to come out like that, I'm just going to go ahead and solve it for y and put it in slope-intercept form. Okay, remember slope-intercept form, if you can rewrite it in that form, that tells you the slope. Okay, so if I wanted to do that here, I need to get rid of the 3x. What am I going to do to get rid of it? Subtract it. Now it gives me 4y is equal to, in slope-intercept form, the x comes first. So I want to write it that way. So I'm going to write negative 3x plus 9. Okay, is that it? Is my slope negative 3? No! Finish this dude out. So we got to divide out a boy. We got to divide by 4 because my y is being multiplied by 4. What am I going to divide by 4? Everything, right?
Yeah.
So that gives me y. Negative 3x divided by 4 is negative 3/4 x. 9 divided by 4 is 9/4. Do I know my slope now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. It's the what's in the front of the x. Oh yeah. My bad, Bailey. Yep. So my slope is
Over your butt.
yeah.
Yep.
No thanks, but
Yeah,
always
yeah.
like to be
Yeah, yeah.
included.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Thanks for offering to
You
eat.
know, like chewing your nails off.
ABC.
Because I'm not
That
mom.
was disgusting. Fred!
Fred.
What happens?
I told some teacher that my real name was Paul the other day. Whenever
You gotta call him Fred.
Your real name's Fred.
His Fred. His Fred.
She knows my real name
Frederick
because she can
Michael.
see it.
Frederick Michael McKnight.
I got
Pretty sure on her roster
Michael
has
Stone
Michael
McKnight.
I like Frederick Michael.
Frederick Michael.
That's distinguished.
It just sound like
Coach Rob, do you have any
my
kids?
buddy's grandpa sound like, they just call him crap.
Coach Rob,
I said 17,
do you have 17 kids?
and that didn't like alarm you or anything. You're just like, okay,
I didn't know
17.
I didn't think you were talking to me.
Oh, that's I don't have 17. But that's what my answer was. Yeah.
Do you have any?
You have 13?
That'd be okay with 0.
Do you have any dogs?
Uh-huh.
How many?
He went.
One.
What is it?
Second stupid.
Well, he was mad at Wade.
All right, what we have here, y'all ready? Ready, come.
Let's do it.
Says graph the line passing through the point -3, -2 that has a slope of 1/2. So we're told to graph a line that goes through that point and has that slope. So what do you think we need to find first? That point.
Yeah.
Good job. Now I had to review with first period how to find that point. Y'all got it though, right? We're going to start at the origin. We're going to go left 3, down 2. We're cooking here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. There's that point. Now, also this morning when we went to do the slope of 1/2, I had some people that went and put their pencil back at the origin. No. Why? Your slope of 1/2 goes from that point. That's why we found that point first. Correct? Correct. So from that point, that's rise over run. So I'm going to rise 1, run 2. Now, technically, we talked yesterday. That's enough, right? I'm going to go ahead and go a little bit more just for practice.
I always do
Rise
3.
1, run 2. Rise 1, run 2. What if I wanted to see what the line looks like down here? How could I get it?
Down 1, left 2.
Down 1, left 2. Good, because that negative divided by negative stays positive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Down 1, left 2. Okay, I think I got more than enough there. See if this thing will let me draw a line. What do you know? I even hit all the points. Life is good today. Caleb found a cap eraser. I hit all the points. Can't beat it.
You got 3.
I'm gonna put it on my pencil, and you're gonna have a really good eraser on it.
All right, we good?
Actually, my dad was.
Okay, that line, I'm just going to leave it on this graph paper here, so we'll make a note here. That line has a positive. Oh, I don't want to write it in red because I'm going to have to color code some stuff. That line has a positive. I knew I was asking too much, trying to change colors. Has a positive slope. If I were to ride my bike on that line from left to right, I would be going uphill. That means it's got a positive slope. Okay? Let's,
I wouldn't be riding like I'll be walking. Actually, I won't be riding my bike anyway. I don't have a bike.
oh, I thought I just picked a
Because
red.
I stings.
What's Grace getting irate about up there?
I
Are you
think she
getting
was
irate,
talking
Grace?
to you the whole
About
time.
stinks.
She was talking about
What?
how, or actually I said that wouldn't be a fun bike ride up a hill, but she said she wouldn't ride a bike.
What's going on with the drive?
Struggling, Green. Struggling.
Throw it at the
I
wall.
wanted a different color line, and it's not.
Oh,
I don't think I'm going to get to color code for this class.
Oh.
looks like I'm not even going to use the board no more.
I don't need it. I don't need it.
Oh,
Oh.
All right, that line
That line is a negative.
has a negative slope. If we were riding our bike on that line from
Yeah,
left to
that's a
right,
good ride.
we're going downhill. That one would have a negative slope. Grace, would you ride your bike on that line? She would just roll down, she said. All right.
I believe.
I thought you were supposed to be here today.
Oh, life went
You
from
need to
good
recalibrate it.
to worse. Caleb, you need to find another cap eraser.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna work.
I just keep thinking one more try though. I don't want to give up early.
We can end the lesson here.
Oh,
We're not. We got more to do. We got more to do. What are you?
for his cap eraser.
Oh.
Yeah. Found some tape.
Well, out of my tape dispenser. That's ingenious. So did you steal the cap eraser from me also?
Hey, you never know.
Marking yet?
Yeah, me too.
We're just gonna go black. Alright, that line, that vertical line that I just drew there has an undefined slope. I left the N out. Undefined slope. Then
Wait,
this line that I just drew down there has a holy Toledo.
Something happened.
Yeah, that's a good question.
What's
Let's
going
exit out
on?
of it.
I can't. It won't let me set it down.
Oh.
You broke it.
You done broke the board.
This is why I usually try to video in the morning, but. Alright, that has a slope of 0. Okay, so we know an example of what all the different types of possible slopes look like. Now we got to talk parallel and perpendicular. Those are slope important topics there. Parallel and perpendicular. What do we know about the slopes, or what do we know about parallel lines in general? They never intersect. So very good. So if they're never going to intersect, that means that they're going to have the same slope. So some symbols for this stuff. Parallel lines, the symbols are just two lines right by each other. They're usually straight. I can't write straight. There we go. That's my best pair. Parallel lines, just lines right beside each other. They have the exact same slope. Sign has to be the same and everything. The exact same slope. Perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines, the symbol, Baylor, is an upside down capital T because that shows you the two 90-degree angles down there. Perpendicular lines, what do we know about their slopes?
They
Completely opposite.
They're a complete opposite. So
They never
BP
hitch.
Yeah, they do hitch. They're opposites, and what else? Starts with an R. Reciprocals, very good.
We're talking about
Opposite reciprocals. So not only do you make it the opposite sign, you also flip it. Okay, opposite reciprocals. All right, ready to do some work with those? Of course you are. Here we go. Hold on, let me roll down the hill. Why not?
I really don't know it's spelled.
Me neither, that's why I
do you
abbreviated.
ever feel like it's like inches and then you go to inch where it is, but then you can scratch that place?
Yeah.
But it's
I'm
not,
out
it
of
isn't there. It's a line up there. You're like, but it feels like
Hey,
there's no
focus,
here.
you should have that. The directions for this say, determine whether the line that goes through -1, 2, and 3, 5, so this line, determine whether this line is parallel, perpendicular, or neither to this line. Parallel, perpendicular, or neither. How are lines neither?
Yeah.
They cross somewhere, but it just doesn't form a 90-degree angle where they cross, right?
They're not.
Okay, good.
They're opposite.
Good, good. All right, so to determine if these are parallel, perpendicular, or neither, we need to find the slopes of both of them, right?
Yeah.
So we got an x1, y1 over here. We got an x2, y2 over here. Plug it in, plug it in.
Plug it in, plug
You
it
can
in.
just scribble all over my paper.
Okay, 5 minus 2, 3 minus -1. So that line has a slope of positive 3/4. Why are you hunkered down?
A little lights out in the hallway.
Yeah, nobody's been in the
Yeah, they got
hallway.
motion sensors in them.
You're not hunkered down. Somebody's fixing to jump in here or something.
They're gonna start shooting.
All right, don't say that.
Yeah.
On this side,
Yeah, you don't say that.
I
just did.
but
Oh,
you
yeah?
don't, because you could go to jail for saying that for real. You can't say stuff like that.
Yeah, somebody could.
Shh. Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1.
I think it's
Good, good. 10 minus 7 is 3. 8 minus 4 is 4. Baylor said parallel. I got a 3/4 there. I got a 3/4 there. Those dudes are exactly the same. So my answer to this is that the lines are parallel. Hey, hey, hey.
Hi. Hey, call it goose.
All right, want to do one with some equations now.
Oh, man.
Got it? Got it?
How we doing?
Michael's still writing.
No, I'm just doodling.
I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, Michael.
I just did.
I wouldn't
3x plus 5y is 6. 5x minus 3y is 2. The question's the same. Determine whether those two lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So we got to know the slopes of both of them. The two ways that we found slope today when it was in equation form was we plugged in zeros and did intercepts, or we solved them for y and put it in slope-intercept form. Anybody got a preference right now?
Zero.
Yeah, I like to play zero.
Everybody okay with the zeros? Okay.
I'm gonna do
So
it the other way.
good. Check us out. Make sure we all get it right. So on this one, if I plug a 0 in for the x, I'm going to have 0, and then that leaves me with 5y equals 6. So if 5y equals 6, y would be 6/5. Okay? Then I got to plug a 0 in on the y also. If I do that, that leaves me with 3x equals 6, which means x equals 2. Okay? So now I got to find the slope of that line. So I'm going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I've got negative 6/5 over 2. Now I don't know about you, but that's craziness. We can't leave a fraction nonsense mixed together. So that's the same as saying negative 6/5 times 1/2, right? Which would be negative 6/10, which would be negative 3/5. How's that? Kirsten concurs. So my first line has a slope of negative 3/5. Caleb probably got the slope way faster than us on that one by solving it for y. Maybe not, he just chuckled. Okay, let's find our intercepts on the second one.
Okay.
Okay, since I'm scattered all over the place, I'm going to work on the second equation
Oh, wait,
in blue. See, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Caleb's already got the complete answer, so it was a little faster, but that's okay. I like this. Good, we got the same slope on the first one. All right, here I'm going to plug a 0 in for my x. That leaves me with negative 3y is equal to 2, which means y is negative 2/3. Now I'm going to plug a 0 in for my y. That leaves me with 5x is equal to 2, which means x is 2/5. Okay? So we've got y1 minus, I said that wrong, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 0 minus negative 2/3 is positive 2/3. 2/5 minus 0 is 2/5. Dividing by fractions, the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. 5/3. Is that what you got, Caleb?
Yep.
So that line had a slope of 5/3. Okay, what was the slope of our other line? Negative 3/5. So I'm comparing 5/3 with negative 3/5. They're not the same, so they're not parallel. They are opposites. I got one negative and one positive. Are they reciprocals? Saying yes, they are. So that means that those lines are perpendicular.
Yep. That's so cool.
Coolio.
I just love math. It blows my mind every day.
All right, we'll look at one more real quick. They got what we needed there? Hope this will last for one more. All right, I've got a graph on my book that's gives the year and the hours in that year that people spent watching TV. So this ordered pair would say in the year 2002, the average person watched 818 hours of TV. Then I'm told that in the year 2003, the average person watched 843 hours of TV. It asked me to find the rate of change. Remember we started this lesson off, I told you that rate of change is just another fancy way of saying slope. So whole point in this problem here is just to let you see that you can take word problems and still use your basic slope formula. So that would be your x1, your y1, here would be your x2, your y2. Plug them in. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 843 minus 818, that's 525, is that right? 2003 minus 2002, that's a tough one.
There's one.
So this would tell me that for every year, the number of hours of TV that people are watching are going up by 25. So you could actually use that model now and figure out based on that data, if it's correct, how much we're watching in 2017. I don't want to, but you could. Okay, just keep going up at a constant of 25 hours every year. That would look like, well, I'm not going to go there. All right, bless you, by the way. I'm going to have a couple of these for you to try real quick. But I got what you need on that? All right, I've got here, where do they go? -2, -3, and -1, 5. I want you to find the slope that goes through those points. Then I've got x plus 3y equals -6. I want you to find the slope that goes through that. Okay, so I got 2 questions for you. Find the slope of both of those. Ready, set, go. How we doing? All right, Caleb, what was the slope on the first one?
I got m equals 8.
M equals 8. So you concur, Mason?
I do not.
Mason does not. What did you get,
I
Mason?
got m equals 2.
M equals 2.
I got 8.
I got 8. Anybody else get anything other than 8 or 2?
What did I put in the calculator wrong?
All right, let's check this thing out. I'm going to say there's my x1, y1. There's my x2, y2. So I've got y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
No, what I did.
Okay, so Mason's conceding. 5 minus -3 is 8. 1 minus -2. That's this, or -1, excuse me. -1 minus -2. That's the same as -1 plus 2, which is 1. So 8 divided by 1, Caleb is correct. Good job. All
I
right,
would have got it right if
number 2. Grace, do you want to solve it for y, or do you want to plug in zeros?
I plugged in zeros.
Okay, so you would have had, if you plug in a 0 for x, you had a 0 and a -2.
Yes.
And if you plugged in a 0 for y, you had a -6 and a 0. So I'm going to say 0 minus -2 over -6 minus 0. 2 over -6. How about that? Anybody get -1/3?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. -1/3 is right. Now, when do you want to leave it as a fraction, or when do you want to write it as a decimal? Majority of the time, slope needs to be in a fraction, because remember, it's the relationship of rise over run. There are situations, though, where you're finding the rate of change. If it's talking about money, we don't describe money in fractions very often unless we're talking about quarters. Most time it's like $5.28. You know, you put it as a decimal. So time, most of the time would be a decimal also. Just depends on the problem, but the majority of the time, if it's a fraction, you leave it in a fraction for rise over run. Okay? Posted an exit question while you were working on those, so it's in there for you.
Already done it.
Look at you.
No, you haven't.
Okay, that's why it says done right